Change your mindset, life will change. A powerful story of a beggar. The city was alive. Car horns, footsteps, laughter, shopkeepers shouting their prices. Life moved fast for everyone, except one man. On the corner of the busiest street sat Rahim, a beggar. His hair was unkempt, his beard long and dusty, his clothes nothing more than torn rags. In front of him lay an old tin bowl, scratched, dented, almost as hopeless as his eyes. Every day Rahim sat there. He stretched his hand, whispered for help, and watched people pass by without even a glance. For many, he was invisible. For others, he was an annoyance. Inside, Rahim carried a storm of pain. Once he had a family. Once he had dreams. But life had broken him, piece by piece, until all he believed was that he was worthless. Maybe, he thought, this is all I'm meant for, to beg, to wait, to survive on pity. Morning turned to night, days turned to weeks. The routine never changed. A coin here, a scrap of bread there. Sometimes children would mock him, throwing stones or laughing. One evening he watched a group of merchants counting piles of money. He looked at his empty bowl and whispered, "Why them? Why not me? I was born unlucky. Life is unfair." This thought, "Life is unfair," became his daily prayer. It was the seed that grew into his misery. One afternoon, as the sun blazed over the crowded street, a man stopped before Rahim. He was old, with gentle eyes but a commanding presence. Unlike others, he did not drop a coin and walk away. He crouched down and looked Rahim in the eyes. "Tell me, young man," the stranger said, "why do you beg?" Rahim snapped back, angry. "Because I have nothing. No home, no family, no skills. What else can I do but beg?" The old man smiled calmly. "No, you beg because of your mind. Change your thoughts, and your life will change." Rahim frowned. He expected pity, not riddles. "What do you mean? I'm poor because I was born this way." The old man shook his head. From his pocket, he pulled out a small mirror and placed it in Rahim's bowl. "Look here," he said. "The man in this mirror is your greatest wealth. When you change him, your world will change. Remember this." And just like that, the old man walked away, leaving Rahim staring at the strange gift. That night, Rahim could not sleep. He held the mirror in his hand, staring at his own reflection. His face looked tired, weak, broken. The stranger's words echoed in his mind. "Change your mind, and your life will change." Rahim whispered, almost mockingly, "Me? Change? What can a beggar change?" But then, for the first time in years, he asked himself, "What if I tried? What if my life isn't cursed, but my thoughts are?" It was a terrifying question, because it meant he could no longer blame fate. The next morning, Rahim made a small decision. He would not beg. Instead, he would offer his help. When he saw an old woman struggling with her grocery bags, he ran to her and said, "Let me carry these for you." She looked at him strangely at first, then smiled and gave him food in return. Later, he swept the dirt near his corner. A shopkeeper noticed and handed him a few coins. For the first time, Rahim felt something different, not pity but respect. But change is never easy. Some days Rahim found no work, no food, no coins. His stomach ached, his hope faded. "This is useless," he told himself. "I'm still the same beggar." He looked at the mirror again. The reflection stared back, firmer, clearer. It was as if the man in the mirror whispered, "Don't give up. The world won't change for you. You must change for the world." So he pushed on. He cleaned himself in a public fountain, picked discarded clothes from a charity bin, and tried again the next day. Rahim began collecting thrown-away items. Empty bottles, scrap metal, old paper. He sold them to recyclers. He learned which corners were best for finding things, which shopkeepers were kind. Soon, he had enough coins to buy soap, then a second-hand shirt. People began to see him differently. He was no longer the filthy beggar. They saw a man trying. One shopkeeper said, "Rahim, you work harder than most. Here, take this broom, sweep my shop each morning, and I'll pay you." It was a small job, but to Rahim it was a treasure. Months passed. Rahim no longer begged. He earned. He smiled more. The same people who once ignored him now greeted him. Some encouraged him. Some bought the small items he began to sell. Handmade ropes, little crafts. He saved, he dreamed, he believed. The street had not changed. The people had not changed. But Rahim had, and that made all the difference. One bright morning, Rahim stood at his stall, a simple wooden cart he had built from scrap, selling fruits and trinkets. He was dressed in clean clothes, his beard trimmed, his eyes alive with hope. Through the crowd, the old stranger appeared once again. He looked at Rahim and smiled. "Ah, the man said softly. So you finally met the man in the mirror. Rahim's eyes filled with tears. Yes, he replied. He was waiting for me all along. I just needed to believe in him. One evening, Rahim saw a young boy sitting in the same corner where he once begged. Dirty, hopeless, broken. Rahim walked over, sat beside him, and handed him the same small mirror. Look inside, Rahim said gently. The person you see here is your greatest wealth. Change your mind and your life will change. The boy looked up, confused, but curious, just as Rahim once had. Life does not change when your circumstances change. Life changes when your mindset changes. If you think you are helpless, you will remain helpless. If you think you are cursed, you will remain cursed. But if you believe in effort, in dignity, in possibility, you will rise. Remember, the greatest poverty is not in the pocket, but in the mind. Change your mindset, and your life will change.